Welcome in to the 30th episode of the Southern Boy Sports Podcast. My name is Drew Hull, alongside my co-host Ben Clay.
What's going on, guys?
Beatty's not here. Beatty's at a ski trip with his family. We are here regardless. Episode 30 of the Southern Boy Sports Podcast. I'm excited and ready to go. I'm ready to go. We are doing SEC Expectations Revisited here in the 30th episode of the show. Back earlier on the podcast when we were first getting started, one of our first episodes this offseason was SEC Expectations. They're bad. They're really bad. Some of them are atrocious. We'll get to a lot of the takes and stuff that we made because it's not good, right? It's not a good look for us. Let's see what episode that was. Was that episode 1? Had to be. Right? Yeah. Episode 1. Inaugural episode.
It was episode 1, yeah.
And, the takes were bad, but we're here, man. Haven't really had an episode since the live stream. We actually haven't had an episode since the live stream. And we're back, though. Ben, how's this past week been for you, buddy?
It's been good. School is just miserable at this point. Like, I just don't want to at all. But it's been good. Baseball's starting back up. Love to see it. And we're getting back into the final stretch of school year.
For sure. Repping the merch. Even though my team did not make the playoffs this year. Green Bay Packers.
I got it on too.
What'd you say?
I got it on too.
Oh yeah, Ben's rocking the OU merch.
Too.
I'm repping Green Bay Packers. Unfortunately, did not make the playoffs.
I still have a shirt for you.
Oh really?
I have a shirt from you from like Christmas. When you brought it, I was like, I texted Beatty. I was like, all right, we got to give him something. So we got you something, and we're waiting on Beatty's lanyard. And then I forgot it when I was going to give it to you. So
just give it to me tomorrow. No, doesn't work. Tomorrow work. Oh, I know what it was. It's because I was viewing. Okay, we're good though. Sorry, I messed it up right there. But yeah, episode 30 of the show. We are brought to you by the Variety Sports Network. New branch off here on the collegiate page, and we're excited for it. That should be fun. Yeah. But SEC Expectations Revisited. I don't even think we're gonna do a break in this one. Like, I don't know if we're gonna end up having a break for episode 30. We might just stick to ads at the end.
Quicker.
Yeah, and get up out of here. So this will be one of the shorter episodes. I think the off season will be shorter episodes. You won't see as long as episodes from us. And it should be just some quick, fun episodes, and that's what we're shooting for today. Ben, do you have a preferred spot to start here?
Let's go with a team that I was really high on. I was ready to see him perform. So let's start with some Ole Miss football.
All right, Ole Miss football. Ben, what was your starting point for them?
I thought they were going 11-1. I thought they were going to beat Bama. They almost did, which they almost did. However, that did not happen. But still, I feel like it was an all right take. I probably should have. I probably could have been better, but they were a good team, and I think I was for going into the season. I'm proud that I put them at 11-1.
Yeah, hey, 11-1, not bad. What did they end up 8-5? I believe. I know that for a fact. They went 8-5.
They went 8-5.
So out of a 9-3,
that was accurate. Pretty good.
Here are my final notes on them. I said Jackson Dart, exciting offense. That's what I thought coming into the season. I thought they were going to be a juggernaut. They weren't bad. And they had 59% returning production, which I was pretty high on. They had a really good transfer class coming into this year, if you guys remember that. They had like the second ranked transfer class coming into this year, and that obviously didn't really
Did they have a top 10 offense? Did they have a top 10 offense?
No, I mean it depends on what you're looking at. If you're looking at like total yardage, then I guess technically.
All right, because that's what I said. I said they were gonna have a top 10 offense.
I mean
with Judkins, they
yeah,
might
Judkins
have.
look good. Yeah, Judkins look good. But yeah, I mean honestly, we weren't too far off. 11-1.
That's a bit off.
That's a bit off. But 9-3 wasn't terrible. Like I didn't miss by like a mile on that one. Yeah, but I mean they did. I had it down that they played a pretty weak out of conference schedule, which they did. So that got them a few wins there in the beginning.
4-4 in the SEC. So I mean,
yeah. So obviously not a great SEC season, but a pretty good out of conference season. And Judkins looked good. He was really the high point this year for him. He was the only reason that they looked like any good of a team.
I feel like Jackson Dart wasn't bad though.
What did you say?
Jackson Dart wasn't bad.
No, Dart wasn't bad, but I think without Judkins, without that run game that they had, especially Zach Evans, who declared for the draft recently and stuff like that, they could have been in a spot to not be as good as many people thought. But I had them 9-3. I thought their floor was 8-4. I said their floor was 8-4. Ceiling was 10-2. So floor 8-4. I guess technically they hit their floor in my eyes.
Yeah, we just forgot to do bowl games, but
yeah, we just didn't add bowl games in there. That wasn't too smart. But either way, yeah, Jackson Dart and company looked decent. Let's go to the Tennessee Volunteers, my squad, my team.
All right,
a team that probably makes both of our predictions look pretty bad. But yeah, I mean, I had them 9-3. Honestly, not too far off. I think Hendon Hooker. I said one of my notes was Hendon Hooker dark horse, which he ended up probably should have been invited.
Should have been a finalist. Should have been. Yeah, I will agree with you.
So the thing that I had down were, will they beat LSU, Florida, and Kentucky? Those are all trap games. Yeah. Obviously, you knew like Alabama and Georgia were going to be your toughest games, but if you're going to be able to get by LSU, Florida, Kentucky, those were going to be the games that really kind of make or break your season on a yearly basis, right? I mean, you lose those three games, right? Then you're sitting at 7-5 instead of 10-2 in the regular season. Unfortunately, one of those trap games that I didn't see coming was South Carolina. That one really bit us in the bottom. But regardless, I mean, I really liked what we had. I did not think we were going to end up 10-2. It was a heck of a season from us this year. And look, coming into 2023, I'm riding the Joe Milton train. You never know. Good things, great things could happen with Joey Mill. Joe Millie. That's what I'm going to start calling him. Joe Millie.
Do that.
You never know what could happen. But Joe Millie. Cedric Tillman's going to the draft. Jalen Hyde's going to the draft. That is
it's a bit of a downgrade, but it's like a downgrade at every position, but you're still respectable there, you know?
Yeah. Yep.
I was saying, okay.
Is coming back, which is good. So
you need some people coming back. And Brew McCoy, he's back too.
Brew McCoy, right? Yep.
All right. So wait, what was your record prediction?
I had him 9-3.
All right. I had 8-4. But with what I said, losses to Georgia, Bama, South Carolina, and Kentucky. So I got
Georgia and South Carolina.
I predicted that. Yeah, I don't know.
Did you really? Wow.
I said top 10 offense, but the defense struggles, which seems right.
That's so true.
I mean, either way, this was a great season for Tennessee, 100%. Like, I mean, Tennessee fans have gained so much hope through this year. It's crazy, and I hate it, but it is crazy because all these fans need is one win, and then they're set. But Taven Jackson's gone, so it's the Milton show.
Yeah,
unless
Milton
somehow Nico beats him. Somehow Nico beats him out, but I would see Milton starting. Maybe you lose a few games, Nico gets tossed in there, but I think it was a good year, a great year for this team, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the offense does. Is Byron Young gone? Is he a senior?
I'm pretty sure he's gone. So
well, that really hurts. I don't really know. What Drew? What do you expect from the defensive side next year?
If the defense still struggles, I think it's time to Byron Young's 24, so he's not coming back. I think if we struggle once again, there could be problems. There could be a chance of Tim Banks not being there, our defensive coordinator. I think we can do better than him. I mean, look, Jeremy Banks is gone. That hurts. He was our star. I mean, he was our guy at middle linebacker. Aaron Beasley is going to be expected to take a step forward. And, we got a couple other guys returning. The secondary is going to be terrible. So Christian Charles, he was a younger guy who got a lot of time this year, and he was not the answer to our questions. And, he just was not – he was depth this year, and he wasn't really super helpful for us. But at the end of the day, if the defense still struggles, might be time for a change at this point. It's been a couple years of the defense just sucking.
I would agree.
I mean, look, Alex Golesh is gone on offense. So if Joey Halsley and Josh Heupel can't put out a 50 points per game offense, the defense could be in trouble. So that's kind of what we're working with here. Obviously, Rodney Gardner is our defensive line coach, and he's one of the best in the country. He's produced a lot of defensive linemen. So we weren't bad on the D line. It was a secondary and kind of a couple linebackers who let us down in coverage at times. But yeah, overall 9-3 for the Vols, not a bad season at all. And obviously as a Tennessee fan, you got to be proud of what you did this year. You couldn't have asked for much more. Obviously, you would have loved the playoff if you didn't lose to South Carolina. But honestly, what else are you really going to do? You can't complain too much. You weren't even expected to be in that conversation. So let's move to another team who was really surprising this season. A team that was really just snuck into bowl eligibility in the final week of the season, and a team who I got the prediction exactly right. That's the Missouri Tigers. A team who went 6-6 this year. I had them at 6-6 coming into the season. I guess they went 6-7 because they lost their bowl game at the Gasparilla Bowl to Wake Forest.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, they had a pretty good recruiting class coming into this year. Luther Burden was the highlight of that. And I mean, obviously their starting quarterback coming into the season, Connor Bazelak, transferred to Indiana. I thought that was going to play a bigger part than it did. And Brady Cook, the senior, the veteran, really stepped up for the Tigers and put them in a position to win a lot of games. So Missouri really surprised me. I think Dominic Lovett was a better receiver than I expected. I thought Luther Burden was going to take that wide receiver one position and run away with it. But look, Missouri played really, really good ball this year. Dominic Lovett is now at Georgia, so that shows you what kind of talent he had and, kind of what Missouri was working with. So I think Eli Drinkowitz saved his spot in Columbia. Improvements can be made from 6-6, and I think they have to be with Brady Cook heading into his second year of real playing time. And honestly, they should have been 7-5 if they could have pulled it out against Auburn. So, that was
so dumb.
That was bad. But yeah, I mean, their running backs aren't bad. Definitely some improvements could be made on the defensive side of the ball. But hey, Missouri, I had them at 6-6. I said their ceiling was 7-5, and I mean that's honestly true. They could have gone 7-5 without a couple mistakes here and there. So yeah, I mean, not a bad year at all from Missouri. But now that you've gone 6-6, you've proven yourself to be a bowl eligible team. They're not just going to let it slide where you go 5-7 next year. That might be the end of Eli Drinkowitz's time. So yeah, I mean, they gave up 25 points per game, which is 108th in the country. Defensive improvements can be made. But look, Schrader, Pete, all those guys that we thought were going to be pretty good ended up being pretty good. But I'll kick to you, Missouri Tigers.
Yeah. I had them going 4-8. I feel like it was a bit harsh.
Oh man, the disrespect.
I know it was a bit harsh. But what I said was I think the passing game struggles, which I mean it was shaky, but it was all right.
Yeah, it was all right.
And then they didn't find a consistent leading rusher, which I think at the start of the year might have been good, but Cody Schrader kind of became the highlight back at the end, near the end of the year. Because I remember in the Auburn game, they were like flipping backs, and then Nathaniel Pete fumbled like in the back of the end zone, and it was
that was
the
brutal.
most frustrating thing ever. But yeah, but it was we were talking about it. This team is not a bad team. I mean, you put them in another conference, and they could go 8-4, 7-5. I mean, that's definitely possible.
Yeah.
So this team, they didn't get a lot of hype, but they were a very solid team.
Yeah, I agree. Not a bad year at all, honestly, from Missouri this year. They had chances to win a couple games down the stretch. Didn't really have a chance in their bowl game. But, I mean, a couple big wins. I mean, South Carolina, looking back, that's a great win, right? They won by 13 points. Arkansas, the final week of the season to upset them in a rivalry game to become bowl eligible. Huge win for that team. They beat Vanderbilt. That's a win that you should expect. And, yeah, I mean, 3 wins in the SEC was good enough to put them in a bowl game. So 6-6, not a terrible season out of Missouri this year, like I've said a couple times. And, one thing I'll say, we've talked about going to a couple of these stadiums, right? Yeah. I think that Missouri, have you ever seen their M in the back of the end zone? I feel like that'd be pretty sweet to go to.
I have not, but
yeah, they have an M in the back of the end zone. It's pretty sweet. I feel like I'd like to check that out. Columbus. But, we were talking about going to the Alabama and MTSU game next year. It's around here.
It's at MTSU?
Yeah, it's at MTSU. They're going to get railed, but, it'd be fun to go to.
I mean, Missouri plays South Dakota first week.
At home?
It's as low as $25, yeah.
Hey, baby.
They played Middle Tennessee the week after that, and the tickets are lower, 21.
At home? Missouri at home?
At home. No, Middle Tennessee versus Missouri.
If we
at Missouri.
I see. I see. Okay. My fault. If we could make it to we made it to one game this year. It wasn't actually bad. I mean, Wake Forest, Vanderbilt was fun. We went out to eat before. That was cool. It was raining, and then they got smacked. The experience before they started getting smoked was good. I so wish we had a video of me catching that.
I know you called it and everything.
I caught a field goal, and everyone was like, wow. Yeah. And then I had to throw it back. There was no video because, who would have seen that coming? We were just walking right out of the tunnel.
I definitely, I thought it was like jokes, and then sure did catch one.
Too. So, yeah, Missouri, pretty good year. Would love to make it out to Columbia to watch a game. Let's move on back to the West. Let's go to Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Let's go to the LSU Tigers. We went east. Now let's go back west. We've got the LSU Tigers, Brian Kelly and company. They've had a little semantics at the end of the season here with some inappropriate scandals down the stretch for Kayshon Boutte and their team. I will tell you, this is a team I outright disrespected coming into this year. They finished 10-4. I had them 7-5. Wasn't I didn't see him having this good of a year. I really thought they had a pretty high ceiling and a pretty low floor, and really anything could happen. I have in my notes they were a wild card team. Did I see him going 10-4? Absolutely not. I had him 9-4 in the regular season as my ceiling. So my prediction was 7-5. This is funny because it says in my notes, it says Miles Brennan, Jaden Daniels QB battle, because that was kind of like the hot topic to see who was going to get that starting job. And then obviously Miles Brennan retired from football. So that wasn't much of a battle. That was more of a Jaden Daniel gets it.
Yep.
Not a bad year, though. Honestly, you cannot be mad if you're an LSU fan. Coming in year one, people doubted you. You finished second in the West and only lose 2 conference games, one to Tennessee and then one to one to A&M in the regular season, which honestly should not have happened. And then you lose to Georgia in the SEC championship by 20 points. So, yeah, I mean, Kayshon Boutte, not great. Honestly, I thought he was going to come in and take the world by storm. He wasn't even the leading receiver on this LSU team. That was Malik Neighbors. I thought he was going to be an easy first, second round receiver. And, he's not in the position to go first or second round. He only had 538 receiving yards this year, only 2 touchdowns. He was not good. And obviously with the stuff that happened at the end of the season, that's a little sketchy too. So, a lot of question marks around LSU heading into 2023. But as for 2022, I will say they outperformed expectations. If their running backs could have got going just a little bit, they would have been dirty. Josh Williams, Noah Cain, that's not bad, but just couldn't really get the yardage that they may have wanted to. But, I mean, Noah Cain had 10 carries on the ground. John Emery, if he would have stayed out of trouble and stayed on the field all of the games this season, then, there's something to be said for that. But all those running backs only played 11 games, so out of 14. So you got to be better than that on the run, on the ground, I should say. And LSU Citrus Bowl, they got a huge win against Purdue, and excellent job from LSU this season. Kind of turning it around. I will say Brian Kelly, people were doubting him, but hey, he made it work.
Yeah. Man, this one's up there with my A&M take. I had them going 6-6.
Oh boy.
It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. I did say that Jaden Daniels was going to win the starting job. He did do that.
Good
But
take.
I thought Butte was going to shine, and he just did not. This team was good. I mean, one of the most unfair bowl matchups I've ever seen.
Yeah, that was brutal.
What was it?
That
It was
was
like
brutal.
62-7. Just stupid. It was a good team. I mean, they everyone after Tennessee went in there and they like demolished them. Everyone was like, "Oh, they're done for. It's whatever."
Yep.
But
They really
Bama
did.
lost a few times. A couple times, and then they were just they beat Bama. Great win over Bama. That was a top game of the year. 2-point conversion was crazy, but it was a rough way to end the season. You lose to A&M in a rough one, and then you just get smoked by Georgia. But this team overall, I mean, Jaden Daniels statistically had a great season. I mean, almost 3,000 yards passing, like 900 yards rushing. Really can't ask more from a quarterback. But I mean, I agree with you. I mean, when your quarterback's your leading rusher, and then next up has like 600 rushing yards, you're kind of not doing the job that you need to do and like spreading the ball around.
For sure.
I mean, it was a good team. They definitely exceeded expectations. I feel like everyone thought they were going to be a bit shaky at like the quarterback play and stuff like that, but Jaden Daniels was consistent, and he was good for him.
Remember that video of Brian Kelly dancing with?
And then the guy the guy transferred.
He transferred. That's what I was going to say. It's hilarious.
What was his name? Was it
Will Howard
or something? Will
Yeah,
Howard.
I want to say
no. Will Howard's the Kansas State guy.
Oh right, yeah.
What is his name?
I can't remember. Why can I not remember that dude's name?
It's something Howard.
Yeah, it is. Look it up.
Sorry.
Look it up.
I am.
I'm gonna try and add this overlay here to the video. I think it's
Walker Howard. That's what
Walker.
it is.
Yeah, it starts with a W. We were right on it.
Yeah. We were close.
Close enough. All right.
Yeah.
Let's see how this works right here, Ben. Let's test it out. I think this is gonna work pretty good. Oh boy, we've lost each other. That's not good.
It's a white screen.
All right. Maybe for next episode, we roll on. Let's go back to the East. Let's go to Vanderbilt, the Commodores. I put the throwback logo technically on the screen up there. They went with the new V.
Can't believe you.
The throwback logo's up there, but I'm about to flip the page to see my prediction for this team, and it's going to be this so disrespectful. So everyone prepare. Yep. 2-10.
Well,
oh boy. This is
I'm gonna be honest.
I said their floor was 0. I said their floor was 0-12. So there's definitely something to be said for them winning 5 games this season. Honestly, like great season from Vanderbilt. 5-7, 2 conference wins for the first time since 2018. They won a conference game. Blowout win in week 0 kind of set the tone for this team. And man, new jerseys, new team. And on my notes, I had Ken Seal's name written down. So obviously that didn't turn out to be too true.
Yeah, no.
AJ Swan and Mike Wright got a lot of the duo, or I guess they kind of split time, I should say, is what I was thinking there. And obviously Ken Seals wins the job. No, he didn't. AJ Swan wins the job. And AJ Swan wins the job. Mike Wright starts the beginning of the season. When we went to go see him play, Mike Wright he got smacked. You remember that? We saw Mike Wright.
Well, I think Wright got the start. Then they were getting demolished, so they put in Swan, and Swan did good.
Yeah. It was overall, you cannot ask for a lot more than what this Vanderbilt team gave you.
Yeah, honestly.
It was a great year from them. And man, I mean 5-7 for this team. The disrespect that they were getting before that was immense. But they bounced back. We had Billy Derrick on the show. So that was fun. Back earlier in the season. I don't really think he expected 5-7, but they're here. Their basketball team's not too good, but their football team really did show out this year.
Yeah, I had them at 2-10 too.
Yeah, I mean, who else?
I really was not expecting much from this team. They didn't really do much. Their first two games, everyone was like, "Oh no!" Mike Wright had like 6 touchdowns against Hawaii, and then like 5 against Elon, and everyone was like,
"Yeah,
wait, is Mike Wright like the Heisman candidate or like something?" But they definitely pulled it off. They were able to pull it together, and Mike Wright led them to 2 wins over Kentucky and I think Florida. I think it was in Florida.
Yeah.
At near the end of the season. So I mean, that was great for him. I mean, this team really, other than the good season thing, kind of throws me off because I mean, they played a team called Elon, which is like the most FCS thing I've ever heard.
They're respectable. They're actually good. I'm not gonna lie.
They did put up 31 on them, but
yeah, I mean they did not lay down for Vanderbilt. They got beat by Wake Forest. So I think that was kind of like you lose by 20 to Wake Forest. Like you're not really like it was kind of a reality check, like a heat check. You're smacking threes from the logo. Well, you're hitting threes from like probably like right on the line. And then you step back and you airball. Like that was kind of what it was like at that particular point. And
not yet. I don't think it was that yet in the season.
I guess
next week they beat Northern Illinois.
Then they got
and then you lose 55-3.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think that's the point where it's like, oh well, when you can't put up a fight against like Bama, you're just done for.
They went on a serious SEC skid, but I mean they did play 3 like really good teams. You had
the Georgia game. I was there for.
I
might have seen them get like 3 first downs. I'm not sure they got like any. It was a rough game for them, but yeah. It is. I remember Drew and his Tennessee takes this year were hilarious because you didn't realize Tennessee was good. Going into the Vandy game, Drew was like, "Oh man, we're screwed," and then they won 56-0.
We did them, yeah. I mean. Because look, if you're up here, then Beatty puts you down in your place and sends you some meme that he found on like a page with like 9 followers, and it's just so disrespectful. But then you're down here, and then the team plays up here. It's kind of like a reverse psychology. But right. I had a picture with AJ Swan. Ben missed out on the experience.
Bro, I can't believe that.
Let's put up the picture. There I am with AJ Swan. It's glorious.
You even cut off his head.
I know. I can't control that. So, there he is right here, though. This is him. This is me, obviously, and that's our buddy Henry. We were at Buffalo Wild Wings. Ben was going to go, but he couldn't make it. And then the next time we went again, and something else happened.
Yeah, it was the Hayden and
oh yeah,
Charlie.
We saw 2 of our dudes who used to play baseball with. Yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
So Ben's always missing out.
I need to start going to B-Dubs more.
And yeah, I mean you can't really see his face because the picture's too big here. But
we promise you, it's AJ Swan though.
It's AJ Swan. Yeah, it would be a weird thing for me to make up, to be honest with you. So let's get on to the next team. Who we want to go with? Let's see. Let's go to Auburn. Let's go to Auburn, Alabama.
Oklahoma
County. Beatty's not here, so he's not here to talk about him. There's the Auburn logo on the screen. Ben, kick it off for us, buddy.
I thought they were going 5-7.
Yep, that's what I had to. No, I had 6 and 6.
Makes sense.
I put them in a bowl. Yeah, I had 6
and 6. You thought they were going to be good.
No, I thought they were going to be decent. I think Beatty might have bullied me into 6 wins, to be honest.
I don't remember what Beatty said. I want to know what Beatty put now.
It's like 9-3.
Yeah, he said something just absurd. That's just not accurate. I mean, they were an all right team. Their quarterback play really was just like a stab in the back.
It was bad. It was bad.
I hope they can figure that out because that's something they definitely need to figure out. Auburn's a team that Tank staying? Is he Tank or did he declare?
I think Tank's staying.
Really?
Yeah, so we'll see.
You get Hugh Freeze back. I mean, not bad. But it's more like I don't know why I said you get Hugh Freeze back, but you get Hugh Freeze and he's been great.
Tank's in the draft. By the way.
Okay. So that's
Jarquez Hunter is coming back.
Oh yeah, Jarquez Hunter. Oh, he's good. Yeah. He's good. Beatty had big ups when they were 2-0 and then got walloped by Penn State. Just hilarious outing. They were an all right team. I mean, I wish.
I mean, look at it this way: if you snag one of those wins in the middle of the season, you're in a bowl game, right? They went on a losing streak to LSU, Georgia, Ole Miss, Arkansas, and Mississippi State, which are all hindsight winnable games. I mean, not all
SEC winnable games, yeah.
Georgia's probably not winnable at that. No. I mean, at this point, Ole Miss is I mean, honestly, you beat Arkansas or Miss State, and you're in a bowl game, right? And that's at that point, I believe Brian Harsin was gone, so it just wasn't able to get done.
Miss State was the rough loss. Yeah, Miss State was the rough loss. That was right after the firing of what is his name?
Brian Harsin. That's what I'm saying.
Brian Harsin, and they had what was the interim coach's name?
Cadillac Williams.
Cadillac. That was their first game.
Yeah,
with Cadillac, and everyone thought they were yeah.
But
they competed when Cadillac was their head coach. They competed with any team.
Yeah,
maybe not Bama, but I mean for their terms this year, I guess.
Then they had 2 wins. I mean, they beat A&M, they beat Western Kentucky. So, I mean, the weird thing about this is though, you can predict 6 losses, but if you think I was predicting Auburn to beat A&M in week 1 of the season, looking at November 12th, it was not going to happen. Sure. Like that was not one of the losses I saw happening. Georgia probably was. I probably saw them losing to Penn State and Alabama, and then maybe like Arkansas and Ole Miss. It's just weird to see. I mean, you can have 6 losses down, but I guarantee those 6 losses that they took weren't the ones that I would have predicted. But
I thought they were going to beat LSU.
I thought they were. They almost did.
They almost beat LSU. Yeah.
Yeah, they should have.
Robbie Ashford had a surprisingly good game from the air. 337 passing yards.
Yeah, and Jane Daniels played horrible. Man, he was 8 of 20 for 80 yards and no touchdowns. I didn't
run the ball that game.
They
didn't run the ball.
I might have barely tuned in for that one, to be honest. Yeah, Tank 12. That's unexpected. That's what I'm saying. Like games like that where you give Tank Bigsby 12 carries for 45 yards and expect to win, like it's just not going to happen.
But at the end of the year, they actually gave him the ball with Cadillac.
Right, and they started winning.
Hunter had a good game against Bama. I mean,
Cadillac was a running back. He knew from the beginning you just got to feed the man, and it ended up working better for him. They went 2 of 3 at the end of the season. Obviously, could have beat Mississippi State as well. So, yeah. Remember the drama with Brian Harsin at the beginning of the season where everyone was saying they treated him like dogs and stuff?
Oh, yeah.
I wrote down trying to bounce back from Harsin drama. I said Penn State in week 3, tough SEC West schedule, which was, I mean, that was true down the stretch. Could have beat Arkansas and could have beat Miss State. Those are 2 winnable games. I said Calzada, Ashford QB battle, which wasn't really a battle. Zach Calzada is now at Incarnate Word and not a part of the team. So Robbie Ashford's the guy, I guess. Let's see if Hugh Freeze can turn it around. You got our guy Hank Brown going over there. Who's from around here. We need to get Jamie on the show. He's the new wide receivers coach at UAB. So we need to get him on the show to talk some Blazer ball. Yeah. So we need to get him on the pod. And that's all we have really from Auburn.
Oh, well, yeah, obviously. Sorry, my fault. Jamie. I was so confused on what Jamie you were talking about, and then I was right. Yeah. Went with dude, what is his name? Trent Dilfer. Went with Trent Dilfer.
The what?
He went to UAB with Dilfer. That's what I was forgetting.
Oh, yeah. He did. Let's go to Miss State. The Bulldogs. A fun year. Obviously, a hard year for him. I mean, you experienced the loss of Coach Mike Leach.
Yeah.
That's just something that you cannot really bounce back from.
Yeah. No, that's a hard. Yeah. They did. I mean. They bounced back and won the ball game for them. So.
Yeah, they beat Illinois in the ReliaQuest Bowl, 19-10. They went out there, didn't put up a ton of points, but they played some good ball. I mean, I had them 6-6, so I was not on the train of Mississippi State coming into the season. I thought they had a tough schedule that they may not be able to get through. I had them losing to Bama, Kentucky, LSU, Georgia, Ole Miss. Well, I said, I didn't have them losing to all these teams. These were the tougher games. Bama, Kentucky, LSU, Georgia, Ole Miss, A&M, Arkansas, and I don't even know. I can't even read my own handwriting. But hindsight, that is a very, very hard schedule. A 9-4 finish is really good for them this season. But I mean, looking back, I mean, you got LSU, tough game. Memphis, I mean, we didn't know how good Miss State was going to be. That could have been a tougher game. Ended up not being. Georgia, Alabama, Kentucky, Arkansas, A&M, and Ole Miss. I mean, those are all really tough games in the beginning of the season, right? Arkansas, not a great team. They beat them by 23 points. A&M's not a great team. They beat them by 20-plus points. Ole Miss, they squeak out a win in the Iron Bowl, and they lose to Kentucky and Alabama. But, I mean, if you were watching that Kentucky game, they had a shot to win. So it was an up-and-down year for Mississippi State. That loss against LSU in the beginning of the season was kind of a dampener on kind of the excitement around the program. But really good season from Will Rogers. I really liked what I saw from him. One of the better quarterbacks we've seen at Mississippi State in a while, a top 100 offense for Miss State. So all around, great season for Mississippi State. And, they had a great O-line. That was one of the notes I had, and that continued to be somewhat true. So overall, really good season for Mississippi State. Exceeded my expectations, 9-4 finish. But, Ben, go ahead.
I had them going 5-7.
Oh, my.
Yeah, but so what I said right was the running game struggles, but their passing wins them some games. They had the 5th least amount of rushing yards in all of FBS.
Oh, boy.
In yards per game, in rushing yards per game, they had the 2nd worst. So that I was right about. Their running game definitely did struggle.
Yeah.
And I would say the passing game really did win them some games. You think about the Auburn game, they really just passed the ball there. What is their quarterbacks? Will Rogers, great season from him. So I mean, they really 5-7. I doubted them a bit much. Didn't give them enough credit. I definitely deserved it, but it was a good season for them, and I feel like they went through a lot this season, and I think they still had a respectable one.
Yeah. Ra Thomas, Rufus Harvey, guys like that really did have a great impact on this team receiving wise. Ra Thomas transferred. He was in on Tennessee. Was in on him. I know he ended up. I don't know if he's made a decision yet. I know that was a while ago, but I remember Tennessee being in on him, and I believe he went somewhere else. Tennessee did get that really good transfer receiver though.
Dante Thornton?
Yeah. Ra Thomas went to Georgia. We literally talked
went to Georgia.
Yeah.
Did we?
Yeah, we did. I remember talking about that, and I forgot. Huh. But, great season for Mississippi State. At the end of the day, pretty good year. I'd love to go to Starkville as well. I feel like all these SEC teams, I'd like
to go to any SEC.
Yeah. To see. I just had South Carolina loaded up, and then it didn't work. So I don't know what's up with that.
He needs to fix his whole technology.
I know. I'm slacking. I don't know where it went. In the meantime, let's go to Alabama, the Crimson Tide, a team that, hey, many people thought they're a national championship team. And why wouldn't you, right? I just passed my A&M prediction, and that was quite the atrocity.
Yeah, me too.
11-1 is what I had him this season. I said tough out of conference schedule, and it was Utah State and Texas. So swing and a miss on that one.
Texas was rough.
Yeah, Texas. Yeah, I mean they did not have a great game against Texas, right? Utah State was horrible. So that wasn't really true. Here we go. I think South Carolina finally loaded. Working on it. Whatever. Bryce Young, Ben's Heisman candidate coming into the season, Will Anderson Jr., both obviously the guys. Eli Ricks, Kool-Aid McKinstry, and really the guy who really burst on the scene this year was Brian Branch. He had a tremendous season in the secondary for Nick Saban and Pete Golding, who, if you're reading our little ticker down here, heads to Ole Miss. Ja'Cory Brooks, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jace McClellan. I mean, just so many poster guys on this offense for Alabama. Could not put the pieces together. Took a couple tough losses here and there. And obviously 11-2 is not where they saw themselves. Tennessee at Neyland, tough loss. And LSU by 1 point in Death Valley, a tough loss. So 2 away losses for Alabama, and just shoved the ball down the throat of Kansas State, in a tremendous win in the Sugar Bowl. So they really get the job done there. And Alabama 11-2, looking to bounce back. A topic I want to bring up after you go ahead and go, but I'll give you your thoughts on this one first.
Yeah, I had them going 11-1, so I guess I was kind of close.
Yeah, I had them 11-1 as well. Yeah,
missed it by like a loss, which is all right. But overall, it was a good season. I mean, next season is really going to be one that everybody looks at. Because Bryce Young's gone, Milroe has to step up probably. That's what I would expect. So I'm excited to see what they do next year. They have a lot of players that now have to step up, with like Jahmyr Gibbs gone, Will Anderson gone, all those guys gone.
Right.
So I think it'll be an interesting year for them. Maybe a break, and maybe not a break because they're still Bama. So like 11-2 was a break technically, but I mean, no matter what, they're a good team. And either way you look at this, it's not a bad year. Maybe if you're a Bama fan, you think it's bad, but it was not a bad year.
Yeah. The question that I wanted to bring up, kind of the topic that I wanted to set the scene here.
Right.
Is the torch passed from one dynasty to another? Is the spotlight off of Alabama as a dynasty and on to Georgia, or are we kind of just in the in-between years where if you look at the Wikipedia page of national champions in 2037, it's going to be like, oh yeah, you remember when Georgia won it 2 years? Or it's going to be, dude, Georgia, they were a dynasty for 7 or 8 years, and they were a really good team. 7 to 10 years, they dominated college football. Before that, man, though, it was Alabama. Is it going to be like that? Or is it going to be, what's the narrative around these past couple of seasons going to be? Is it torch passed, or are we just in a dead spot with Alabama football?
Well, with recruiting in mind, I think Georgia could definitely be a dynasty. I mean, they've been super trending in recruiting lately for a bunch of players, and they're still on the up, which is absurd after all this. Bama, though, they're not a bad school. I mean, their recruiting is still like top 3 in the nation. So, I mean, they're still a great team. And in my eyes, these two schools, no matter what, they could beat each other. I wouldn't say the same for like Georgia and TCU. Like, there was no way TCU was beating Georgia.
Right.
But you toss Bama in that game, and Bama could still beat them. So it's really just depends. But I think Georgia these next few years could definitely be a dynasty.
Yeah, I mean, Alabama's always going to be competitive. With Pete Golding gone, maybe you bring in a better defensive coordinator. People are saying Jeremy Pruitt back to the Tennessee. Nope, I would probably like burn all of my Tennessee gear if Pruitt was coming back. But no, Pruitt has been rumored to come back to Alabama. Obviously, paying is legal now, buddy. So have a time. He would probably have quite the time doing that. But nonetheless, Alabama is always going to be competitive. I heard the same question asked on the Boneyard podcast, which is a East Carolina podcast, which is pretty interesting to listen to. But
what did they say?
They said that they thought that it was Georgia's time to shine, but you had to win 3 titles in a row, or 3 titles to become a dynasty. So they're not really at that point yet, but if you continue to win, you're definitely there. Solidify yourself.
Yeah, that's reasonable.
I agreed with. So go listen to that. I know they talked about that on their most recent episode. Good show. If you're a Pirates fan, man, go listen. Let's move on. I finally got the South Carolina logo in here. There it is. Glorious Beamer ball, baby. It was here. It was here. They beat my Tennessee Vols in convincing fashion. And they had a tough schedule. They had a rigorous schedule at the beginning of the season, and they kind of saw the effects of that. But I mean, late in the year, they go out, they beat Tennessee and Clemson back to back, and that's something that is hard to do. Obviously, they kind of battled with Georgia State in week 1, and I remember texting the group chat with all 3 of us and being like, "What is happening right now? Is South Carolina for real?" They lose to Arkansas. They get smoked by Georgia. They start 1-2, and then they have 2 easy games versus Charlotte, South Carolina State, and they kind of get back on track. And I mean, let's take out those losses to Missouri and Florida, which are both winnable games. And South Carolina is a really good team. So a couple dumb losses, which with Spencer Rattler returning, a good amount of returning production for South Carolina, you cut out those dumb losses, which is just kind of not being ready to play. Because, I mean, that Florida loss, you went out, you beat Vanderbilt, then you lose to Florida, then you beat Tennessee and Clemson. That's a 3-week span, right? So you're obviously good enough to beat teams like Missouri, like Florida. It's college football, man. Anything can happen. And South Carolina, a really, really good and intriguing year from them this year. So it's going to be fun to see what the Gamecocks do in 2023. Marshawn Lloyd has transferred away, so he won't be back. He transferred to USC. Jaheim Bell is gone. Like, there's just so much gone from them.
Stogner.
Stogner's gone. Juju McDowell should be back, but he was hurt a lot of this season. So Cam Smith on defense, the cornerback, one of the best cornerbacks in this year's draft. That's got to be a name you got to look out for if you're looking at draft boards. So a lot of talent gone. Spencer Rattler is back, though, and Shane Beamer's back, which is super important as well. So a lot of production coming back from South Carolina, a lot of production leaving, though. So it's going to be a wild card year next year. We'll see what the Gamecocks can do, and it should be a really, really fun Beamer ball team to watch next year. Eyes are going to be on them. I'm not going to lie.
For sure. Rattler's coming back, too, so that'll be something that I'm looking forward to seeing what he does there. So I had them going 7-5, which is accurate. I mean, I missed it by a bit, but I said they'll have a top 25 defense, and I'm not sure. Did they have a top 25 defense? I'm not sure if they had a good defense or not.
Let's take a peek. I mean, their defense wasn't great. It was 167th in points against per game. So obviously,
how do you get 167th?
I mean, that's counting FCS and stuff. So I mean, I guess if you want to, but
I mean, bad.
You're also taking into account they had to play teams like Georgia and Tennessee and stuff like that.
Fair.
When you're like Wofford, I'm not familiar with the top 25 leaders in defense points against per game in the FCS, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean,
above Auburn, that's where you could see them. They're above you and above Auburn.
Yeah. So it's
not the best, but good season. They are losing a few pieces, but Rattler was good, and they're just a fun team to watch. So I'm looking forward to next year.
Next year they've got a really fun schedule. They started off against North Carolina, then they head to Furman. They go to Sanford Stadium to take on Georgia. They're home against Mississippi State. They visit Tennessee to play the Vols at Rocky Top. They're home against the Gators of Florida. Then they visit Missouri and A&M in back-to-back weeks. They have a homecoming game against Jacksonville State. Then they stay home for 2 more games against Vandy and Kentucky, and then stay home against South Carolina. So like 4 or 5 games at the end of the season on a home stretch right there. That could be big. I mean, Williams-Brice is not an easy place to play, and they get 4 or 5 games in a row right there, including games against pretty good teams. I mean, Clemson, Kentucky, even a Vanderbilt team who's going to improve. Pretty good games to have home field advantage. So nonetheless, you have to say that, obviously, unfortunately for me, South Carolina had a pretty good year this year and got a couple big wins down the stretch. So we'll move on. Let's stay in the East. Let's move on to Florida, the Gators. I had them 6-6. I was correct. What a call. I said their ceiling was 8-4, floor was 5-7. One of my notes was tough schedule. How will Napier fare? They did have a tough schedule. Obviously, he hauled in a pretty good recruiting class. I mean, Jaden Rashada, all that drama. Have you seen that, Ben?
Why am I forgetting? I've seen it, but what?
He decommitted because of the NIL and stuff like that. So
I hate that.
I know. I hate it too. It's probably just somebody else was paying him more money, paying him the bag.
Where did he go?
He went to Miami, then he decommitted, then he went to Florida, then he decommitted because of the NIL, is what the rumors are.
Oregon?
So. Did he go to Oregon?
Who went to? No, that was Dante Moore. Sorry, that was
Dante Moore. Yeah, then he flipped to UCLA. So, yeah.
Oh, did he? Oh, maybe. Wait, where did Rashada go? Now I need to know where Rashada went. Was he 2023?
Yeah, he's coming to someone this year. I mean, that would be huge.
Going somewhere.
He has to. I mean, or else.
I mean, is he out of Florida? Oh, so it's like right now, like he might be gone.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He probably going to leave. But yeah, I mean, a couple wins on the schedule for Florida. I mean, you think about that Utah win is actually a really good win. Looking
That's a
back,
good
South
one.
Carolina, they beat South Carolina by 32 points. That's not bad.
Wow.
Their other wins include USF, Eastern Washington, Missouri, and A&M. So pretty weak wins there from Florida, aside from Utah and South Carolina. But I mean, those are two respectable wins. You got to respect them. They tried to come back on Tennessee, gave me a stroke, and played Florida State down to the end. So I mean, they played a couple close games. They had a good game against LSU. The stats really don't show like it was a good game, right? But it was 28-21 going into the half, and then LSU kind of took over, and then Florida kind of came back. So it was a decent game going back and forth, but LSU ends up winning it pretty easily by 10 points. And, yeah, I mean, Florida had a decent year. I don't know who is going to play quarterback for them next year because Anthony Richardson is gone. Jack Miller III is probably the guy in line. Jalen Kitna is in prison. So Jack Miller III, he had to play a couple snaps. I know he played in the bowl game, and he may be the guy next year because they don't have anyone else. So quarterback trouble is going to be talked about a lot this offseason for Florida. And if he stays,
Yeah, I'm just kidding. Yeah, might need him.
Yeah, they're going to have to up the salary that they're trying to pay him.
Yeah, it was like $13 million, which is like not enough apparently. So I mean,
I spit on that.
Wow. Yeah, yeah, for 2 years of college.
Yes, yeah, he's going to play till his junior season and then leave for the draft. So he's going to go ahead and stock up on the bread and then just dip. So yeah. Not a bad offense this year from Florida, but just about what I expected from Billy Napier year one. Ben, if you had to put an expiration date on Billy Napier, how many years do you think he has left before he's considered on the hot seat? Let's go. Next year he goes 8-4. Year 3 he goes 6-6. You think he's fired after that, or you think he has more time?
I think you give him the year after he goes 6-6. You give him
a prove it
year 5. Year would it be year 4? Year 5? Year 5?
Yeah, probably.
I think year 5 he's on the hot seat the whole season. You start bad, you might be gone. You like go like 500, you probably are gone. So I mean,
yeah.
But with his recruiting, I mean, the recruiting was definitely on the up. I mean, Rashada is a big get, and so we'll see. He has a bit of leisure, but we'll need to see what this team does.
Yeah. I mean, Florida. I think the only reason that he's not been talked about more to be on the hot seat is because he's bringing in so much talent. 11th best recruiting class in the nation, which honestly isn't bad. 18 4-stars in this year's class. He's going to have a lot of talent coming in. So give him a couple years to develop that. Like you said, if he can't make it happen after that, then he may be in some trouble. But let's go on to the West. Let's go back to the West, a team that was slightly underwhelming this season. I'm not going to lie. Let's go to the Razorbacks of Arkansas.
Yeah.
Man, I mean, we had Ty Richardson on episode 7 of the show. We talked about him a little bit, and I think they definitely underwhelmed a lot of people. 7-6 this season, 6-6 in the regular season. I had their floor at 7-5, so did not see this one coming. I had them 9-3. Man, they extended Sam Pittman coming into the season, which I thought was going to be a big deal. I thought people were going to buy into that. KJ Jefferson played a pretty good season. You can't really complain too much about the way he played. Great on the ground and pretty good through the air. Yeah, like you said, suffered a couple injuries that obviously hurt him. But yeah, they had a tough schedule. I mean, you look at that in hindsight, and it's a harder schedule. Losses to Alabama and Mississippi State. LSU that's a decent loss, and then obviously losses to Liberty and Missouri aren't completely acceptable. But yeah, I mean, not an easy schedule for Arkansas. Definitely looked harder on paper heading into the season with A&M in there, Ole Miss down the stretch, Alabama, and they ended up losing to Alabama, but they did beat Ole Miss. Just a weird season from Arkansas this year. Beat some pretty good teams, and then lost to some teams that you would just say, I mean, what is happening? And injuries obviously impact that. And yeah, I mean, I said they had enough to compete with Bama and A&M. That's obviously not true because they lost to both of them. So, I guess
they still competed. They still competed.
I mean, yeah, I mean they were still in the game, but I mean I guess that's true, but yeah, I mean I had Arkansas 9-3. They ended up going 6-6, and the West really took a decline this year. Not a great season from the SEC West, so we'll see if they can bounce back. Arkansas, man, underwhelming.
Yeah, I had them going 8-5, or 8-4, which isn't bad. 8-4 is reasonable, I think, and it's close to what they actually did. But KJ Jefferson with the injuries really hurt them. I was really excited to see KJ Jefferson. Man, because he's good and he's coming back.
Yep,
it's crazy. Pretty positive Raheem Sanders declared.
Yeah, he didn't play in the bowl game.
Yeah. So for sure, that bowl game, that was a top bowl game. I'll tell you what.
It was one of the best. Yeah, it was one of the best.
It was like Jason being thrown out the back of the end zone could not be more hilarious.
It was just so Jason being thrown.
I love that they put the ball in his hands. That's so hilarious. That a quarterback who couldn't get them a single win for the last 6 weeks of the year, they put it in his hands. That's just jokes. Drew Sanders on the defense for them was sensational.
Bumper Pool as well. I'd like to add him.
Bumper Pool too. And they're a good team. If they can get that running back play back, I think they could do a lot. Matt Landers, I don't know if he's gone, but he was really good for him. That one hurts. Hazelwood, I think Hazelwood is coming back.
Okay. Yeah.
I think Hazelwood is coming back. So that would be big for them. But really, KJ Jefferson is in my eyes, he's still really good. Like,
yeah,
I would love to see him shine, but rough year for this team. I still think they have the talent to beat anybody. But they just need to stay healthy.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I loved having Ty on the show. He was one of our better interviews. I mean, they were all great, but his personality and stuff like that was really fun to talk with. So love to have him back on the show. And like you said, Ben, me and you talked about this. Catalon's in the portal, so he committed somewhere.
Texas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So he's gone. He's gone. He went with the oppositions, and we'll see what he can. That's a big gift for Texas, though. Mm-hmm. Big gift for Texas.
He was hurt all year, though.
Yeah, he hurt his hip, I believe, earlier in the season.
I don't think he played at all.
He didn't. Yeah, he played against Cincinnati. I think. Yeah.
No way.
And maybe against South Carolina. But
I don't think he did. No, I pressed the wrong thing, but I don't think he did.
Who are we missing right here? I have 13 teams.
A&M and Kentucky, I think.
Oh, Kentucky and Georgia. Kentucky is who I'm missing. Let's go to A&M first. The one we're all dreading. I'm not. 11-1 was my prediction. I said they could beat Alabama. So, swing and a miss. It's like that's like if someone threw you a fastball 85 miles per hour, it hits the glove, and then you swing and the bat flies out of your hands. That's what it was like. They were bad. They were bad this year. Just a lot of – the quarterbacks played bad. They won 2 conference games. They were very, very underwhelming. You lose to Appalachian State. That kind of kicked it off. You lose to Mississippi State, Alabama, South Carolina, Ole Miss, Florida, and Auburn all in a row. You end off with 2 wins to end it off. That didn't matter, though, because you were out of the bowl talk. I said their floor was 9-3. So just an atrocious take from me because that is bad. They went 5-7, but I think they fooled a lot of people. Like everyone saw A&M coming into the season to be really good, aside from a few people that went the other way, I'm sure. But a really, really good, a really, really bad year from A&M. And they are in a hole, and they're going to have to dig themselves out of, or Jimbo is going to be gone. So, jobs on the line. It's going to be a tough. They're the number 1 recruiting class. So obviously a lot of transfers. But you're still getting a good amount of talent coming in. So we'll see if they can make anything of that. They're going to have to, or else they may be gone. They may be Jimbo may be gone. So we'll see. Ben, I'll give you your thoughts on this one though.
Yeah, I had them going 10-2, one game better than you. But really, once it got down to the end of the season, Connor Weigman was definitely the guy they found.
Yeah.
I think without a doubt he should be their starter next year. Haynes King was just not it. So yeah, Connor Weigman, he was very good for him. I mean, they lost 2 games with him at quarterback, but one was a good one against Ole Miss. But still, I think this team, they definitely needed a year. Like I think people's expectations were way too high for them.
Yeah.
Even mine.
Yeah.
But with the number 1 recruiting class, not all your players are going to come in as freshmen and just dominate. So
Right.
the freshmen are leaving, but you got to give them a year, and we'll see how they do now.
Yeah. Yeah. I know I sent you that TikTok of I don't know why that reminded me of that, but of that guy, and he's like
The
it's
Whopper
like
commercial.
yeah, it says like if you give me another, it's like when your team loses an easy game, and then the dude's holding an L, and he's like, if you give me another one of these, I'm gonna get effing frustrated, and then the Whopper commercial pops right up, and that's just true. Like Texas A&M fans watching themselves get railed,
Yeah, I'd be so mad.
and then
That's when I'd toss
Whopper
the phone.
commercial comes on, and you just want to throw something. Dude, yesterday, this is off topic, but yesterday that Giants-Vikings game,
Dude,
that
bottom
targeting
call I've ever seen.
that was
No,
bad.
it was roughing the passer.
Yeah. That's what I meant. Targeting, roughing the
It
passer
was
call
so
was bad.
stupid. I knew they were gonna do it too. Immediately went to the tackle stone. I was like, oh, here we go.
And man, I just Bengal YouTube. We're getting him on the podcast.
Dude, I started rewatching the whole Riverside thing. It's hilarious.
It's so
he
funny.
loses like 63-0 to like UNM, and he's so tight.
But yeah, I mean, he's a Giants fan. I'm gonna bust him with the boys. That Barstool podcast with Will Compton and Taylor Lewan has tweeted a picture of Rich Eisen every day until he's come on the show. Maybe that's what I'm gonna start doing. So maybe that's what I'm gonna start doing. Get him to come on the podcast and have a good time. But regardless, I just knew he was punching the wall when I think it was Darius.
I was rooting for him after this call.
Right across the middle of the field. That was just brutal. And so maybe I need to go back and watch that as well. That's hilarious. But we'll move down the list here. We got 2 more teams, both in the East Division. And we will start a team that, man, underwhelming. If it was personified this season, is either A&M or Kentucky. We're here on Kentucky. I had them 8-4 this season, and they didn't even live up to that. They go 7-5, 3 conference wins. Will Levis, no. If he goes
no,
top 5,
he's so bad.
I hope
it's not even
I hope Will Levis gets drafted.
God, dude,
and
my
it's
take
just
my take is so bad.
And it's just a beast. And then they come back. And Ben gets clips saying Will Levis is so bad, and he wins like back-to-back MVPs with the Colts.
I don't care. He was so bad. Like it's not even like
I know we've talked about it, but I can definitely see the appeal around him. It's just like
he's got a great build and stature, but
after this season, I just don't I don't understand it. But regardless, the offensive line for Kentucky took a huge step back. I mean, I know that's something that they take pride in, is that like big blue wall, and it was not good.
No.
They had a big win, what seemed to be a big win over Florida earlier in the season. I forgot that Florida beat Utah and then got ranked 12. You remember that?
Yes, I do. And then they played y'all. And
and then they played Kentucky and won. So then Kentucky was super overrated because then they just beat
they were top 10. They were top 10.
Number 12 team, right? Yeah. Then they lost back-to-back games. Just a lot of weird losses. I mean, Vanderbilt is a weird loss. South Carolina is not bad loss, and they just got smoked on Rocky Top near Halloween. That was a weird game for them. I mean, Chris Rodriguez Jr. didn't play a ton of games this season. He didn't come back till Ole Miss game, I think, and they ended up losing that one anyways. Will Levis had a pretty underwhelming season, although, he's still projected pretty high in a couple of mock drafts that I've seen and across a lot of outlets.
I'd rather take Hendon Hooker than him.
Well, he's also a lot older than him, to be honest.
So a lot younger, but I mean,
yeah. I don't know, man. I had them 8-4. I had their ceiling 10-2, floor 6-6. So pretty wide range from me there. But I mean, I you can just look at the schedule and see where they could have gone 6-6, and it almost happened. So, Yeah, a tough year for Kentucky. Are they going to bounce back? I don't know. Not with the quarterback Destin Wade that I saw in the Music City Bowl, because that wasn't too good. He's from around here, though. He's from
Summit.
Summit. Yeah, he went to Summit out here. But yeah, Destin Wade, 16 of 30, 2 picks, not even 100 yards passing. So freshman struggles from him. We'll see if he'll improve and who's going to get that start in the fall. But yeah, Levis is gone. 7-5 season from Kentucky. And let's revisit him, Ben.
All right, Drew, you got to guess. Okay, what? Just try to guess what record I predicted for him.
You already told me it was
it's 10-2.
But
I did. Dang it, dude.
10-2
it's so bad.
It's
so bad.
I don't even know why you would think that.
It's so bad. It's so bad.
Who are they?
I can't believe I said that.
Who are your 2 losses, you think?
Oh my gosh, Georgia and Ole Miss. That's what I put down.
You thought they were gonna beat? I mean, okay. Honestly, like, it looks bad.
Technically, look, you beat South Carolina. Could have happened. I thought they were going to beat you, which is just like some trap game that they could win. But
yeah,
and then you beat Vandy and then win your bowl game. But
I mean, yeah, if they would have beat Vandy, they would have gone to my prediction and win 8-4. But Vandy was a better team. So it was a tough. It was Kroger Field, man. It was Kroger Field.
I said Chris Rodriguez would shine, and I mean he had 900 yards rushing and missed.
Yeah, he missed a lot of games. Yeah, they just didn't win, so he didn't look as good. Plus, the O-line was tragic. So, I mean, yeah,
he still was not bad. He still had he was 900 yard rushing, like I said. But I mean, definitely a letdown for this team. You'd think, oh, we got Chris Rodriguez, who's amazing, and Will Levis, who's amazing, and then Will Levis is just not what you wanted. And I mean, Will Levis, okay, he's not a bad quarterback, but in terms of what we're looking for,
you just said he was
quarterback. He's pretty bad. Right? Okay.
I mean, he's not bad. He's horrible. He's terrible.
Dude, he is bad, like really bad. But what from what we're expecting, we expected him to go out there and win games for them. He just didn't do it.
Yeah, I mean,
he wasn't bad, but he didn't win the games that they needed. He didn't win the games for them, like we would say Hendon Hooker did, or something like that.
Yeah.
So he just wasn't what they needed him to be. And this Tennessee team is not looking up next year. They still have Kavosiey Smoke, but
you mean Kentucky? You said Tennessee, so
Kentucky. I'm sorry.
Don't get your tongue twisted there, buddy.
Well, both of y'all could go 6-6. So
okay, that's.
I'm sorry.
Make another atrocious.
I'm sorry. You're not going 6-6. I'm sorry.
But yeah, I mean the receivers this year were weird. Barrion Brown wasn't great. The transfer Dayton Key wasn't great. Like nobody was really great. Whether that was their quarterback or just them, the receivers in general, I'm not sure. So I guess we'll see next year when they bring in Destin Wade, see if the receivers can do anything. Offensive line needs to improve. And yeah, I mean, they were 221st in points per game with 20. So that was bad. Their defense was pretty good. Their defense was a bright spot. I don't want to leave that out. They had a pretty solid year on defense. Their secondary played pretty good. And obviously, I mean, if the Kentucky special teams isn't good, there's something wrong. So Kentucky special teams was solid this year. They had a couple miscues, but at the end of the day, they got smoked in the game against Iowa.
I don't know if Destin Wade's going to start for them.
It's going to have to. They're going to have to figure something out.
But they have Kye Sharon, who played against South Carolina.
Yeah, and he didn't play bad.
And then Deuce Hogan came in against Iowa.
Yeah,
and didn't play that bad.
Yeah,
so.
Maybe they were just trying out Destin Wade because I feel like
they were just seeing
they had better options. Yeah.
Or they would have switched quarterbacks.
Yeah, I don't know. And Ray Davis is coming in. That's huge. Ray Davis is coming.
Oh, that is big. They have gotten a few transfers.
Oh, Devin Leary is playing quarterback.
God, dude.
Oh my God. We were sitting here stressing about Kentucky's quarterback. No, Devin Leary is coming in.
Yeah. That's our mistake.
Making the move from NC State. So
they could be all right then.
They would.
Kavosiey Smoke. Why is Kavosiey Smoke must have transferred, right?
I think
If Ray Davis comes in there, is Ray Davis going to be a senior? Maybe you wait one more year. Maybe he sticks out.
Kavosiey Smoke isn't on their roster, so.
Oh well.
Let's see. I think he transferred to somewhere. I saw him transfer.
He's not a bad group of 5, like starting running back.
He went to I don't know if he's transferred yet. He went to Colorado. I did see that. He went to Colorado with
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Let's get on to our national championship Winners, the Georgia Bulldogs.
Woo.
Short and sweet. I had them 11-1. They did not lose a game this season. They played really, really good ball, and they ended up winning the Natty. I mean, you had Ladd McConkey, my underrated player of this season. Georgia went 15-0. Like, I haven't seen 15-0 in a long time.
I know.
They were top 10 in points per game, points against per game, yards per game, top 25 in pass yards per game and third down efficiency, and top 50 in rush yards per game. All around beast. Carson Beck and Brock Vandegrift are going to battle it out next season for the starting job. That's going to be interesting. But we saw Carson Beck.
I think it'll be back. Yeah.
Who is going to be a beast next year? Branson Robinson. He is going to be a dog.
He was so annoying, though. In that game, I had a headache. I was trying to go home, and he kept on running for touchdowns. I was like, dude, what are you doing?
The live stream.
But, I mean, I was talking to my friend, right, and it's like, you just tossed a freshman into the national championship game.
Yeah,
I'm scoring too. I don't blame him, but
yeah, it was hilarious. Ben had a mean headache, and it was like, and Branson Robinson trots in for another touchdown, and it was just
they just wasting more clock.
But yeah, Kenny McIntosh
He's
had
gone.
a good season. He's gone. He's a senior, so he won't be back. Dewan Edwards, we saw a lot of him in the national championship. He's only a junior, so he's probably going to be running back one with Branson Robinson backing him up. Because
I think you start Branson, but okay.
Because Kendall Milton's a junior too, so he's probably not going anywhere.
Oh.
So
they still, I mean, basically do what they did this year, but just have 3 backs switching out.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's gonna be quite the year next year for Georgia. We're gonna see what they have receiving and at quarterback, especially. That's gonna be fun. Brock Bowers returns, so you're automatically gonna be a really good team with a great receiving core, if you include him. So yeah, man.
He's so unfair. But I called it 12-0.
You had him 12-0.
I did. I said Stetson Bennett struggles, but their defense holds down and they don't lose a game. Stetson was fine. No problems with him.
He was a Heisman contender, so yeah, he was pretty good.
He shouldn't have been there though.
Now Hendon, if Hendon didn't get hurt, I think he would have been there, even with that loss.
Yeah, I think even if you lose, yeah.
Yeah,
I think that's perfectly valid. But yeah, it is a great season for them. I mean, I really there's no point you can look at and say they're bad there. Maybe some receivers, they just get a receiver. But overall, this team is super good. Saw them play in person. They have no weaknesses. So it's a team that I'm looking forward to again.
Yeah. I mean, they've got a couple dudes declared for the draft, but a decent amount of returning production on defense. And obviously, a pretty fun year. With Nolan Smith, too, this team would have been nasty, but obviously he ended up
declared.
Yeah. So, yeah, man, this was episode 30 of the Southern Boys Sports Podcast, SEC Expectations Revisited. If you made it this far, please follow our socials. That is Twitter @so_boy_sports and on Instagram at southern_boy_sports_pod. Variety Sports Network Collegiate. Check it out at VSN Collegiate. Check out Variety Sports Network at variety_sports_. We have added a couple podcasts, the Woodswater Mizzou podcast, We Hate Your Team, Hoop Southbound, Second to None, us, all of these great groups coming together to form a pretty cool project over here at VSN Collegiate. And Southern Boys Sports is proud to be a part of it. So go follow their socials. You can find VSN Collegiate on Spotify if you want to listen to this podcast out of that profile. It's also obviously still on Southern Boys Sports. So make sure to leave us a 5-star review. Follow our socials. Check out VSN Collegiate. And go follow our Instagram, 95 followers. Let's get it to 100. And let's get to 200 followers on Twitter because we're at 170 over there. So doing our thing, continuing to grow. You can find this one on Spotify or YouTube. And if you tuned in, make sure to leave the video a like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Ben, it's been a good one. Anything to say before you head out?
No, I think I'm good. I think I'm set.
A couple atrocious takes in this one, but it's all
we're
part of the media. You're going to make bad takes, so we just got to live with it.
Yeah.
And
look at Desmond Howard's Final Four.
Yeah, it's better than that. So that is a W. That's a good thing. What do you have? A&M, Baylor, Pitt, and somebody else. I want to say
Notre Dame up there too. I think.
Yeah, it was wild. Weird. So at least we weren't there. But like I said, follow our Twitter, follow our Instagram, give us a 5-star review, and like and subscribe on our YouTube channel. Make sure to tune in to episode 31 of the Southern Boys Sports Podcast. Same time, same place next week. See you, boys.